What up, y'all? Appreciate you showing up, hanging out, listening to my dumbass. Like and subscribe. Hype. Oh boy. Oh boy. It seems like it seems like okay. I it's remember videos ago I said I never seen the backlash against PlayStation. Blah blah blah. Right, and that's true. Right now, Wolverine is getting it. Wolverine is next in line, and Wolverine is getting mollywopped daily. Subway Surfers style. It's for anything that had the boss fight with the Sentinel. They're like Ben 10. I'm like, yo. And then someone put like, oh, it's like 59 games doing the same thing. I'm like, why? Remember back in the day when I said PlayStation is creatively bankrupt? Remember when I said that? I said it about Sony too in a general sense, but more so PlayStation because that's what we're talking about, right? And that's what it is. They are it, and like the chase scenes, it's like you're following the scent and man, and the simple thing, right? The Sentinel fight. I forgot who said this, but they were exactly right. They said Wolverine wouldn't be just standing on the platform and hit the arm when it comes. No, he would have, and he would have climbed up the Sentinel like Shadow of the Colossus style and snatched his head off. And I was like, that would be nice. And they do that in God of War like 3 or something. Man, come on, bro. There's no excuse. The excuse is Insomniac is lazy. They got skills. We know they got skills, but it seems like their skills are more so going towards cinematic qualities, if you want to say, less gameplay, which is ridiculous. These are games. These are games first, not movies first with a little bit of game sprinkled in. And that's the problem with PlayStation. That's the problem with Sony. That's the problem with Insomniac, Naughty Dog, all these fool studios that are making these movies pretending that they're games. I am loving like Dirt and Sean and everybody else, the WBG. I am loving what is happening to Wolverine right now because it's not Wolverine's fault, even though the game is, I'm gonna say it's mid, but it looks like it's not mid. It looks like a AAA banger masterpiece, but in actuality, when you break it down, gameplay, it's mid. I'm gonna say this. X-Men's Origins Wolverine, with the one with Hugh Jackman in it, I think has better gameplay than what they're showing us with this guy, whatever his name is, or with the monkey boy from Jumanji, Reen, monkey boy Reen. I don't even know how to, but yeah, I'm like, yo, and then the what is social media manager person? I forgot what his title was. I forgot his name too. He's like, oh, you guys are so mean, causing mental stress and harm to the devs. And I'm like, are y'all a bunch of vaginas or something? Pussycats, if you will? I'm like, yo, are they all like millennials or alphas or something? Look, my generation X, we got our ass whooped. The generation before us got beat the hell down. They got it worse than us, and we got it bad. So I mean, not really. Like it was just like, yeah, that's what you do something stupid, you gonna get a belt. That's what's up, and we knew that. You come in too late when the lights come out, when the lights turn on in the neighborhood. You come in a half an hour later. You might get a couple of pows. You might get a chancleta across the face. Not across the face, and he hits you in the booty. I'm just saying. It's like all these devs never got an ass whooping when they were kids. They were like, you go in the corner, timeout. The timeout squad. That's what they are. Oh my gosh, they're saying bad stuff about our game. Listen, you have the privilege of making video games as a job, which kind of sucks because then you lose that, I want to make video games, and then you're like, oh, this job sucks, making video games. You see how that works? So sometimes you don't want to, stay indie, whatever. But the point is, Some people have jobs that they hate. They don't even like their jobs. They go into the job saying, this is some bullshit, but I need the money. And then their whole life is gone, still at the same job. That happens. So you over there crying about people talking shit about your game, whether it's justified or not. I think for the most part it is, because it's PlayStation and they deserve all the smoke. And Insomniac, well, I mean, they've been making the same game since 2018, coming up on 10 years, making the same game. Maybe they should do like, was it Fuse? That was the name of their game, right? Maybe they should do Fuse 2. See how that works. Make it multiplayer. See how that works. I mean, that was their worst game ever that they ever did, but whatever. You know, just switch it up at least, because y'all rinse and repeat. And the fact that people are pointing this out, y'all are getting butthurt. And I'm like, and Ray said this on WBG. He said, where were all of the concerned people and all of the social media people out here saying the same thing about their devs when it was on Xbox? When all of y'all mother flowers, all of y'all freaking media outlets and everybody else in their mama were online freaking talking shit about Xbox, like, oh, this game is trash and this game, Xbox is dead, blah blah blah. Where were y'all? Where was the concern for the devs then? There was no concern. So it's a double standard. It's hypocrisy. It's all the things. And you know what? I hope you get more smoke. I hope y'all feelings are real hurt. I hope you cry at night because, oh, I'm so fragile. Grow some balls. Grow a backbone. Be an adult. Being an adult is not, participation award. That's what you want, a participation award? Because you made Wolverine? That's what you want? No. I hope your game fails. It's not gonna fail, but I hope it fails. I hope it fails your expectations. I hope it doesn't. I hope it underperforms. I hope it sucks. I hope it's bad. I mean, it looks okay. Like I said, it's mid with a nice shiny wrapper. But you know, I mean, it is unbelievable that these people feel so privileged, or they actually are privileged to actually work in the industry to do what they quote unquote love. And they're sitting here crying when people aren't accepting what they're giving people. Listen, part of your job as a video game maker is to make something, a product, that people want. Now, is it skewed? Is it tainted because your parent company messed up and they're screwing their customers? Yes. So, how do you fix that? Well, you say, listen, we ain't got nothing to do with Sony. I mean, they pay our checks, but you know, that's a hard position to be in. But you know what? That's the position that you're in right now. And what you're saying is not helping. Oh, the mental stress, the devs, no. That only makes you look stupid. It makes you look pitiful. It makes you look like, oh, what's this? And you see all these hardworking people that go out to buy your games, they're looking at you like, y'all are ridiculous right now. You over here crying that you getting, but because people are talking shit about your game? That's what, meanwhile, real stuff's happening in the world. You know what I'm saying? People dying and all kind of stuff. Oh, my game. I swear, boy. I get tired of I'm sitting back, I'm watching Twitter, I'm watching YouTube, I'm like, and sometimes I'm like, I can't do a video I just can't. I don't have the energy to I just, you know, my cousin, she's a super like yoga, spiritual, right? And she said something the other day. She said, I don't have time to be stressing and worried about all this nonsense and foolish. She was just generally speaking. And I was like, and that's like her whole kind of mindset. Like, if it's little, it's like, whatever, it don't matter. You know, there's many more huge, important things that are serious that need attention, as opposed to, you know, going on Twitter and getting getting your feelings hurt. Oh my gosh. That's like me, right? I'm doing these goofy videos, right? And I go in the comments and people are like, "Oh, you stupid! What's this 70-year-old dude?" That's those are actually comments that people say, and I laugh because it's funny. I'm not 70, obviously. Actually, I'm younger than King. If you want to, I'm younger than King, older than Dirt, younger than Boom. There you go. I think Boom is the oldest out of all four of us. Yeah. So yeah, but I look at the comments and people, like I said, as long as it's not like super disrespectful, that's fine. But I mean, like maybe some of the stuff was like, I can't even imagine if some random person was disrespectful to the devs in a way that it was like personal. Like you would have to know the dev, right? If you just say something random like, what are they doing? Eating jelly donuts and coding, or with the Temple Run or whatever it's called, the Subway Chase with the coins. So we put Sonic coins. I'm like, yo, it's hilarious. Yo, okay. The internet, as much as people are like, oh, the internet is bad, blah, blah, it's hilarious, bro. They are coming up with so many hilarious like memes and little video. I'm like, yo, this is taking over entertainment. And that's what, remember when Asha and not Asha, Matt Booty and them, they were like, yeah, man, Twitter and all this is taking over for the attention. It's true, because I was deep every time. What game was it? It was oh fuck, I can't. Well, the Wolverine, they showed like a extra something. I think it was the cinematic thing, or they showed some of Wolverine, right? And I was like, oh, it was an Insomniac posted it, right? I said, all right, cool. And I looked, and it was like all positive. I was like, hold up. I went back to the top, and it was set to I forgot what it wasn't set to like all or most recent. It was just set to like the most popular or something. Some filter was on the comments. I took that off, and then the real comments came through, and I was like, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. No diss, no buy, and all that. And I was like, yep, there we go. So they think they slick, but they're not slick. They're not immune. People know Insomniac is Sony. Come on. They try. No. But that, and then GameSpot trying to defend them. And then I'm like, yo, what? And that's just, Xbox tax. The media is in on it. Whether they're getting paid by Sony or what someone's going to have to get to the bottom of this. Someone needs to do investigative journalism, not the actual, these GameSpot and them. They're not going to do that because they're in the pocket, obviously. But somebody who's not in the pocket of PlayStation and Sony, do some investigations and see if these people are in the pocket, to see why. Like, Christopher Dring, he admitted that Sony is a beneficiary. They is not a beneficiary, but they donated to his whatever. So he's on the payroll. So he's gonna defend PlayStation all the time or hate Xbox, whatever. So we can't take what he says seriously. We could just say, oh, he's a paid pony. He's a peepee. So he's a paid pony. So nah, bro, no. You say whatever you want to say, oi. But yeah, we're not hearing it. And then Shuhei came out his face about the digital. I'm like, what is going on? How is it like Shuhei was safe, and then he said this, and now I don't think he's safe anymore, because people are gonna be like, no, I want to see the comments. I want to see people attacking Shuhei because he said, oh, it's not a big deal. All my games are digital. Blah, blah. I'm like, and everybody who says that need to get slapped across the face with whatever you want to slap them with. Let's put it that way. It's not about digital. It's not about physical. It's about ownership. And I know Reforge is like, it's not about blah, blah, blah. But the digital, the physical is part of the ownership. It's the essential argument, basically. It's how it worked before digital existed. So it is the grandfather of digital media is physical media, and that's what the ownership was. That's how it worked. Everyone understands that you don't buy freaking Wolverine and own Wolverine the IP, idiot. You just own the media that holds the code that you can play. You own the right to play the game because you have the physical disc. Owning the physical disc gives you the right to play it. By taking that away, you take away the right to play it. whenever you want. And that's the whole problem. And what Xbox is doing, if they're doing that physical to digital, boom, 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 and how it works and how they've explained it, or people have explained, that's the best, and that's going to be it's a huge game changer for the industry, I would say, and it's going to put them in a better light. And I hope everybody, you know what? I hope Sony doesn't co-opt it, and I hope it damages their brand even more so. Nintendo, whatever, they could do whatever they want, it doesn't matter. But I mean, back to the Wolverine shade, back to the smoke. Man, it is hilarious. It's hilarious, and it's kind of cringy, right? I saw the scene where he like jumps backwards out of the ship, the airplane, and he puts up his middle claws, and I'm like, who wrote that? Who said, yeah, he's gonna fall backwards, and with a smirk on his face, snicked up his middle claws, and like whose idea was that? A good idea? No, that was hard. That is not Wolverine. Wolverine wouldn't do that. That's the problem. Ugh. And his face is like he got a soft face. Like when he's not scowling, right? Like when he's scowling, it's like, okay, it kind of looks like kind of. But when he's like all soft face, like look like a puppy, I'm like, who the hell is this little soft boy trying to be like Wolverine? Man, put Daniel Radcliffe in some. He looked more like Wolverine than this fool. Put anybody. Tobey Maguire looks more like Wolverine than this dude. Who's a handsome man that we could put inside the Wolverine to make him more? Put Troy Baker looks more like Wolverine than this fool. Who else? I'm trying to think. Somebody young. Jonas Brothers. Put the young Jonas brother who married the princess lady. Put him in. He looked more like yeah. Anybody looks better than this fool. I'm looking at Hugh Jackman and I'm like, yo, Hugh Jackman is Wolverine. At first, before I was like, man, he's too tall. And honestly, that's really the only reason why I don't like Hugh Jackman, or didn't like. But now I like him a lot because he's a good Wolverine, and he's better than what Insomniac just did. Look, Insomniac, I forgot who said it. I think Luke Stevens said it, or somebody said it. They said Insomniac has a problem with character design, meaning faces. Now, Doc Ock, he was fine, because Doc Ock is not a handsome man. He's not supposed to be. The original Peter Parker, I didn't have a problem with him. The new Peter Parker, don't really have a problem with him either, but what they did was try to make him kind of look a little bit like Tom Holland, which was kind of like, I don't know about that, yo. I don't know about that. Mary Jane is just, like I said before, the only good-looking female in Spider-Man, Black Cat. That's it and that's all. I don't know who else is. Wait, was Miles' friend? She was all right? She was. I don't know. I'd have to go through the characters again. But nah, bro. If you look, Mary Jane is ugly. Freaking Jean Grey is ugly. Mystique is ugly. How are these people so ugly? Who is the character design making these people ugly? Hiring ugly people to model honestly, I'm gonna be real. The people that are actually the models for a lot of these characters probably are not ugly, but whatever they do, yeah, they turn up the ugly filter in Unreal, whatever their engine. I don't even know what their engine is called, and it don't work. Look, you go play Sunset Overdrive. Granted, those aren't real people. They're like, characterizations of, caricatures of people. So they're not ugly. They're stylized, but they're not ugly. Like I did a female character, and she was cute. She had a little booty and stuff. I was like, yeah, boy, this is nice. And the dude was like a big old triangle dude. Was like, yeah, he's running around, a little mohawk and stuff. I was like, yeah, it's cool. But then all the other, characters were just goofy characters. Not ugly, because it was the art style. But when you try to be realistic, nah, bro. And so that's what's happening with Wolverine. And so here's the thing, though. That's a trend, right? That's a trend that's happening throughout the game. So what our expectation is starting to become is that female characters in Insomniac Marvel games are gonna be fugly. That's what's up. I do not expect there to be a fine woman in an Insomniac Marvel game? Nope, I do not. I mean, Mary Jane is one of the most finest females in Spider-Man. They made her that way because it was a juxtaposition against Peter Parker the nerd. And the whole thing about that was, Pete's a nerd. How did he pull this supermodel? Because Mary Jane is a supermodel in the comics. Shit. Look, you go look at what Todd McFarlane did to Mary Jane. Yo, I'm like, okay, Todd, you went a little too far, Todd. I know you like to draw here and then, but damn, bro, damn. That's all I gotta say. Damn, yeah, he had fun drawing her. Anyway, even like you go back to the old school Spider-Man, which I mean, the older art, it's not that like before the mid '80s, like when Arthur Adams. I think Arthur Adams was one of the first like old school, quote unquote, old school artists that I like gravitated towards. I was like, oh shoot, Arthur Adams did some nice work. And then after that, it was like Jim Lee and Mark Silvestri. Was it Mark Silvestri? Alan Silvestri. Mark Silvestri. I mix up the composer and the artist. Sorry. Hey, you know what? I'll give Rob Liefeld his flowers, even though he can't draw feet, whatever, and his proportions are a little off, whatever. He still gets little props. McFarlane, you know, he's dope. Was it Scott Campbell? No. He was a writer, I think. But anyway, it's a whole bunch of artists that are like, bam. They when mid '90s Marvel and then Image Comics and all that stuff, bam, crazy nice. But like I said, go back before them. Go look at Mary Jane in the '80s, early '80s. It's beautiful. Go look at the first image of freaking Jean Grey. She was in the original X-Men, excuse me, and she was called the Fire Girl. I forgot what her name was, but she ain't ugly. She's. I mean, for the time she was, yeah. And so I'm like, what? Why? And once again, I say this and I mention this, and people don't. I don't want to seem like I'm this dude who's always talking about DEI and all this stuff. But I remember watching a video about that where they said Sony is using the DEI funding, if you will, because I guess I'd have to do some more research, but as what I gleaned from that video was that if a studio is making a game and they incorporate enough DEI elements, if you will, or lack of a better term, then they get partial funding, basically. Just to break it down easily, right? I don't know what the percentage is. I don't know, what I'm saying? But I don't know if it's, the amount of DEI elements you have in there, whether it's characterization or whatever. I don't know I don't know the details about that, but that's what I understand. And so I'm like, okay, if that's the case, look at Sony's games. Look at them. You got Wolverine. You got Spider-Man 2. You saw how that went. First Spider-Man. Okay. And that's just Insomniac. You go God of War. What they putting out? Lao Fei. I'm just saying. Ratchet and Clank. Raquel and Clutch Shift, whatever Sean calls it. Raquel and Crack. How they got a female Ratchet? What's her name? Socket Rat? I forgot what was her name. But it's like, yo, it's like right in our face, right? It's like they're incorporating, like, and the thing is like there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But if you're making a game and one of the mandates is you have to include female or this or that or whatever, you have to. You don't even know what the game is. You don't know what the story is. You don't know nothing, but you have to include these things because we want to get this money from DEI. Is that something that seems fair, or is that something that lends to the art form? Or is it just like it's like a mandatory mandate that they're putting to their studios in order to alleviate some of the costs? And I'm like, I don't have a problem with DEI. And the problem I think with DEI is that it's has a label. It's just like, look, just put the characters that make sense in your movie or game. Sorry, uh, just do that. You know, if you have a game, I I don't. If you have a game about Japanese enslaving the Chinese, for instance, right? I mean, that's I don't know what kind of game that would be, but let's say you have a game Japanese enslaving the Chinese. There should be no black people in this game. Just saying. If you put a black person in this game, why? Right? If you have a I can go through all different examples, but it's just like they're just like I said, they're doing it to check a box to get a paycheck, and it's like it's frustrating in a way, and I don't. I tend not to pay attention to it, but when I stop to think about it, I see it. I see it in all these games, and Microsoft, they do it too, but they do it smart. Like people are talking about, oh, freaking South of Midnight's DEI. I'm like, first of all, maybe, but how they did it was smart because the only DEI would be that it was a female instead of a dude, right? Because it's in the South, New Orleans. It's a lot of black people in New Orleans. It's a black fam. It's and the grandma was white, so it's like a marriage thing. Look, it was less offensive than Mary Jane and her stealth missions with a little zapper, a little taser gun, knocking people out like she's a boss. Like, I mean, look, if you want to change what Mary Jane is, give her own game and be like, yo, I'm training now. Pete trained me. Now I know kung fu. Or I had intimate time with him and he shot me with his spider webs and now I got spider DNA too. That sounds like some old Rule 34. I don't. Anyway, sorry, but the smoke, the heat that PlayStation is getting is transferring to their games. One of their biggest games of the year. Now, Dirt and them, they were discussing like what they think it would sell. They were saying 5 million, 6 million, whatever. I was gonna say I tend to agree, but at the same time, I'm like, I mean, probably only because it's Wolverine, not because it's a good game. Excuse me, if that makes sense. Um, yeah, I have no interest in playing it. I'm gonna watch the game because honestly, that's the type of game it is. It's a game you watch. You don't need to play it because all the gameplay parts are kind of the same, which is games. But when it's an interesting game or when the world is interesting, the problem I think one of the problems with Wolverine is that it's not open world, and I think their players were spoiled with Spider-Man with Spider-Man games. They should have what they should have done. This is what they should have done. They should have done an open world, but have bookended it with linear action sequences or linear set pieces. Let's just say that. Or honestly, it could have been open world, just a couple of different locations like Madripoor, Canada. Oh, they could have done that. Just make them smaller. You know, like you say, okay, the map in Spider-Man 2 is this big, same size as Wolverine's the same size, except you just split them into 3 pieces, and then those are the 3 open worlds or whatever. I don't know, man. Look, and they spent 5 years making that game. So, and the thing is, here's the thing about that: they spent 5 years making the game. They didn't need to build a new engine. Assets. I mean, I guess they had to make some new assets. I would say most of it is performance capture, the acting parts, the writing of the acting parts, not the gameplay part. The gameplay part probably done in a year and a half, 2 years. You know, animation and all that stuff. But all the cinematic stuff takes time and money. It's very expensive. So, but whatever. Let's just continue to get the smoke to PlayStation, give the smoke to Wolverine. Anything they try to promote, that's what's up. That's what we need to do. I'm gonna say this at the end of every video. We need to keep, for lack of a better terminology, the boot on Khan's neck for the rest of this generation, because this is the only way that you know what, I don't even want them to change their mind. I want them to stay the course, and I want them to fail drastically. I want them to fail so spectacularly that it ruins their company to the point where they're not this. I mean, honestly, I'm be real. They're not the same Sony that they used to be already, and it's only getting worse for them because they're not gonna be able to put out a console. Oh yeah, last thing. Did you hear that the CEO said that they still haven't finalized the plans for the release date for the PlayStation 6? Oh boy, yo, they are just laying out the red carpet for Xbox right now. Asha's like, yo, I'm a destroy them so hard. Pause. Anyway, I appreciate you. Hey, like and subscribe, never comments below. Let me know what you think about Wolverine getting the heat, about Insomniac being little bitches, about PlayStation still getting the heat, about all the thing I said and all the thing I say. And as far as music goes, I finished writing, kind of sort of writing it. I got to go back and touch up the last verse, the last 12 bars or whatever it was I was writing. I took a little break from it, but that's done. And I want to do some more on the video side. So I'm going to give myself another week or so, get it out before September. But I have my idea for the next song. So that's a good thing. So I'm going to start working on that too. So I haven't forgotten. But I appreciate. I'll talk to you on the next one too. Do wait.